These are 20 fans who exposed WWE secrets. Let's talk about how fans caught a glimpse behind the curtain with Bray Wyatt's Fiend character. The Fiend's entrance was always a huge moment. With the lights going out and his creepy music, he'd suddenly appear right in the ring. But in 2019, a fan sitting ringside at Raw managed to film something most of us never get to see. As the arena went dark, Wyatt actually rolled out from under the ring and got into position before the lights came back up. It's a classic wrestling trick, but because of fans' footage, everyone got to see exactly how it happened. It's one of those cool moments that remind you that once you know the secret, it's still cool, but it does take away the magic a little bit. Sometimes, the best surprises are hiding right under our noses, or in this case, under the ring. WWE really wanted to make Sin Cara feel like a huge deal when he debuted in 2011. They gave him this massive entrance. You got the lights, the music, and a big flip into the ring that was supposed to look superhuman. But as it turns out, not everything was as magical as it seemed. We found out that Sin Cara was actually using a trampoline to get that extra height for his flip. Fan footage caught the whole thing. Sin Cara would hit the trampoline, launch himself over the ropes, and then as soon as he was in the ring, you'd see a crew member scrambling to stuff this huge trampoline back under the apron. And to be honest with you guys, it looked pretty awkward. This thing was way too big to just disappear in a hurry. Stone Cold Steve Austin cracking open a couple beers after a big one is as iconic as it gets in WWE, but have you ever wondered how those beers actually make it into the ring? Well, at WrestleMania 38, fans got a behind-the-scenes look at how it all goes down. From the ringside area, you can see how one crew member quickly hand cans of beer to another, who then tosses them into the ring with some seriously impressive aim. Somehow, they always manage to get the beers right into Stone Cold's hands, or at least close enough for him to catch it. It's a small detail, but it's wild how much coordination goes into making those beer celebrations look so smooth. Even the little things in wrestling take a lot of work. Wrestling is all about the energy of the crowd, except when there isn't much of one. There have been times when WWE's business wasn't exactly booming, and at certain events in 2018 and 2019, it showed. The most obvious example happened at the Stomping Grounds pay-per-view in 2019. Even though WWE would tell viewers at home that the place was packed, fan photos and videos told a different story. Half of the arena was empty and the hard camera side was completely curtained off to hide the gaps. This footage exposes how much work goes into making the show look and sound bigger than it really is. The Undertaker has one of the most iconic spots in wrestling history. When the lights go out and the gong hits, the dead man appears in the ring, and that's always a special moment. For years, fans never really knew how he pulled it off, especially before everyone had smartphones. But as the times changed, so did the way secrets got out. Now we know that much like Bray Wyatt's Fiend, The Undertaker would often roll out from under the ring during the darkness, but he also had a little extra help. A crew member would usually be waiting to hand him his hat right before the lights came back up. It's a small touch, but it's wild to see just how much work goes into making those legendary moments look so effortless, and how in the end, it's the fans who end up revealing the magic behind the curtain. Heading into WrestleMania 32, Triple H and Roman Reigns had an intense rivalry that involved a good old-fashioned beatdown. In this case, Triple H really laid into Reigns, leaving him bloodied, or at least that's what it looked like on TV. Thanks to some fans in the crowd though, we were able to see how WWE pulled off this effect. Byron Saxton is seen handing Roman Reigns a blood capsule right before the beatdown really gets going. The fan was recording at the perfect time to expose this secret. WWE has always used camera tricks to make the action look bigger and more intense, but sometimes those tricks are a little old school and a little obvious. Take this moment from 2019 on Raw when Seth Rollins just smacks Drew McIntyre with a steel chair repeatedly. If you look at this footage from a fan's perspective, you'll notice the cameraman squatting down and popping back up every time a chair shot is landed, trying to make each hit look more impactful. Honestly, it ended up looking ridiculous. The chair shots themselves were already brutal, but the cameraman bouncing up and down just drew attention to the old school production tricks instead of selling the moment. WWE is known for keeping things tightly controlled and off limits to the public, but every once in a while, something slips through the cracks. On the road to Extreme Rules in 2014, the unthinkable happened. A copy of the Raw script was left unattended at ringside, and photos of the script spreaded like wildfire online, giving fans a rare look at the inner workings of the show. You saw who was supposed to win, what the backstage segments would be, and even some of the lines wrestlers were meant to say. It's the kind of mistake that probably had someone backstage sweating bullets. Scripts are usually guarded like state secrets, but for a brief moment, the audience got a glimpse behind the curtain, and it's a reminder that even the biggest shows can have a messy human mistake. It reminds me of the time that someone actually leaked out a photo of the WWE roster getting ready for Raw. You could clearly see on-screen rivals preparing for the show, and it was not a good look, and people were unhappy about it. The Undertaker was famous for his slow and menacing walk until he got older, and now he just likes to pop up with the lights out trick. At WrestleMania 40, the Dead Man made a surprise appearance in the main event of Night 2, and let's just say things didn't go exactly as planned. After delivering his signature moves and causing chaos, a bunch of fans caught Taker making a quick getaway, and the way he booked it out there was hilarious, and it turned into an instant meme. Fans couldn't get enough of the sight. The legendary Undertaker sprinting away like he was late for a doctor's appointment or something of that nature. It was hilarious, and the fans did not have to do him dirty like that. If you've ever been to a live WWE event or watched enough fan clips, you'll notice something interesting whenever the show cuts to commercial. The ring crew springs into action. While the cameras are off, they're busy tweaking the set, making adjustments, and sometimes even swapping out the entire ring canvas right before your eyes. It's a behind-the-scenes hustle that most TV viewers never get to see, but for the fans in the arena, it's a reminder at just how much work goes into keeping the show running smoothly. The ring might look like the same battleground all night, but thanks to the ring crew's quick hands, it's always ready for whatever WWE throws at it. CM Punk's last AEW match was unforgettable. He put on a 5-star classic match with Samoa Joe before getting fired. During the bout, CM Punk ducked under the announce table to blade himself. For anyone who doesn't know, blading is a wrestling tradition where performers use a razor to cut themselves, which usually adds drama to the match with the blood. Normally this happens out of sight, but on this night, multiple fans managed to capture the moment on camera. Their footage shows Punk hidden from the main cameras, making a quick cut to his forehead, and it's a cool video that gives us a glimpse into the secrets behind the business. Sometimes the most memorable moments at a WWE event aren't the matches themselves, but they're actually the little quirks behind the scenes. At the 2017 Royal Rumble, the entrance ramp was so massive that getting to the ring became a journey in itself. To help out, the WWE brought in special carts to ferry wrestlers down the ramp. Superstars like Braun Strowman and The Big Show, who were already larger than life, made their way to the ring on these carts, and it looked hilarious. Social media lit up with images and clips of these giants rolling in style, proving that in WWE, even the trip to the ring can be an event all on its own. WWE loves a good crowd sign, especially when it gets chants going or supports their latest storyline. But in 2018, some viewers noticed something a little unusual at live Raw and SmackDown tapings. Fans on social media started pointing out that signs calling for the women's tag titles weren't just spontaneous fan creations, but instead, the WWE staff were seen handing them out before the show. On TV, it looked like the audience was passionately demanding new titles, but in reality, it was just WWE trying to stir up some excitement and make certain ideas seem more popular than they might have been. Some match finishes stick with you, and not always for the right reasons. At Extreme Rules 2021, Finn Balor's shot at the Universal Championship took a bizarre turn when the top rope suddenly snapped as he got to the top rope for the coup de grace. With WWE using dramatic red lighting for the match, fans at home struggled to make sense of what happened, but those in the arena saw the whole thing unfold in real time. Word quickly spread that a production crew member had actually cut the rope, making it look like a freak accident. To this day, we never got the answer as to why the rope just randomly exploded. Also, what's even funnier is that the WWE just acted like that never happened. Ever wonder what wrestlers do when the cameras are off and the show cuts to a commercial? If they're not in the main event or a featured segment, it's usually just a lot of standing around. Take Randy Orton on an episode of SmackDown in 2023. While the audience at home was watching ads, Orton was posted up near the ring, awkwardly waiting for his cue while stretching. It's even funnier when you realize that he's also ignoring Roman Reigns, who he just interrupted right before the commercial. Speaking of Randy Orton, he's known for his intense focus and ability to stay in character, but even the Viper can't keep the act up forever. In 2014, after a chaotic episode of Raw, Randy found himself knocked out on the floor near the timekeeper's area as the show wrapped up. With the camera still rolling for the live audience, he leaned over and asked a production crew member if Raw was officially off the air. The moment the crew member confirmed it was safe, Orton instantly dropped the act and stopped selling the injuries. He popped up, dusted himself off, and walked away like nothing had happened, giving everyone a rare, unfiltered glimpse of what happens when the cameras stop rolling. You might think wrestlers disappear into a black hole when they're hiding under the ring, but the truth is a little more high-tech. As fans at Raw and SmackDown tapings have noticed, superstars waiting for their big reveal often have a TV monitor tucked under the ring. This lets them keep an eye on the action above so they know exactly when to make their move and surprise everyone. Some of WWE's most dramatic moments only exist for the audience at home. Take the legendary lightning effects. While the sound might boom through the arena, the actual visuals are strictly for TV. A perfect example of this happened in 2015 when The Undertaker supposedly struck Bray Wyatt's rocking chair with a bolt of lightning, setting it ablaze. If you were watching from the stands, you'd hear the thunder and see some pyrotechnics, but the lightning itself was a special effect added in post-production. Fans who were there confirmed that there's no visible lightning in the arena. It was all created for the broadcast. It's a reminder that sometimes the real magic happens inside the TV truck and not in the ring. Sometimes the best surprises in wrestling come from the most unexpected places, and after WrestleMania 41, John Cena found himself on the receiving end of an RKO out of nowhere by Randy Orton at Raw. The real magic, though, happened before the cameras even caught the moment. Randy pulled off the ultimate sneak attack by disguising himself as a member of the ring crew, and for several minutes leading up to the segment, he blended in perfectly until the very last second when he rolled under the ring and waited for the moment to strike. Unless you were watching the footage from ringside with an eagle eye, you'd never spot him. It's a masterclass in misdirection, and it shows you just how far WWE will go to keep fans guessing. One of WWE's wildest moments came in 2004 when Paul Bearer was buried alive in cement. It was a stunt that looked downright terrifying on TV, but behind the scenes, the WWE went above and beyond to ensure the stunt would go perfectly without any accidents. And this is Paul Heyman exposing the secret.
Yeah, I was buried in concrete. You've seen it on TV. It was a glass was like that. It was a glass crypt shit. It was a real concrete mixture. And it was mostly real concrete, but they did have some oatmeal mixed into it, to give it texture and shit, And we filmed that, we pre-taped that earlier in the day with me in the box. And I was sitting in the chair, and in my right hand I had a button that I had to keep pressed down on my hand. And if I ever let go of that button at any time, they would come in with sledgehammers and bust the thing open and get me out. It was that dangerous. The button was hooked onto a light that was off the side of the set, and if the light came on, they knew I had an emergency and they were going to come bust me out of it. It was pretty serious because that damn concrete truck, anything could have happened with that. Could have been a malfunction or anything. I was scared shitless.
Certain people do
but
it.
Exactly how we did that is that, like I said, we pre-taped it, and I took the concrete up to about here, right to my nose, and that's where the pre-tape stopped. And then they had this big suction machine, like a machine that sucks out septic tanks and shit.
Right.
Come in, it was going to suck out the concrete out where I could get out. The damn thing wouldn't suck the concrete out. So here I was stuck in a damn concrete crypt. And I swear, I couldn't lift my legs. I couldn't lift my arms. It was so heavy on me. So the only way they got me out, they just had they put plastic on the floor, opened the door, and let the shit pour out, and my fat ass went right on the floor with it. So what they done, they had a look-alike. Can you imagine a look-alike for me?
Huh.
But they brought in a look-alike from Hollywood. He's a Hollywood stuntman that's familiar with doing those kind of gimmicks. And so during the live show, when you saw Paul Bearer in the concrete crypt, it was the look-alike. It wasn't me. So when they showed the close-ups, it was what we pre-taped earlier in the day.
Right.
So it was the magic of television. I was already on a plane going back to Alabama.